What if I told you America's dependence on cars was never really a choice? Why does the richest country on earth struggle to build good public transportation? Why do millions of Americans drive even for the shortest trips? And why are entire cities designed in a way where living without a car feels almost impossible? Because this isn't just about transportation. It's about how an entire nation was engineered. Over the last 70 years, America transformed itself into a country built around highways, suburbs, parking lots, and cars. But here's the strange part. America once had some of the world's largest streetcar systems. So what happened? Why did trains disappear while highways took over everything? And who benefited from it? The answer completely changed how Americans live, work, travel, and even how cities are built today. Before World War II, many American cities were surprisingly walkable. Cities like Los Angeles, Detroit, Chicago, and New York had massive streetcar and rail systems. In fact, early 1900s, Los Angeles had one of the largest electric rail networks in the world. People could live, shop, and work without owning a car. But after the war, America experienced something huge, a suburban boom. Millions of families moved away from crowded cities into newly built suburbs. And then came one of the biggest infrastructure projects in history. In 1956, President Dwight Eisenhower signed the Federal Aid Highway Act, creating the Interstate Highway System. Today, the U.S. has more than 47,000 miles of interstate highways and over 4 million miles of public roads. The idea was simple: connect the country, improve trade, and strengthen national defense. But highways did something else too. They completely reshaped how Americans lived. As highways expanded, suburbs spread farther and farther outward. Homes became separated from offices. Stores became separated from neighborhoods. Everything became farther apart. And that's where the real problem started. Low-density suburbs are extremely difficult to serve with public transportation. A subway works well when millions of people live close together. But in sprawling suburbs, destinations are spread everywhere. So instead of building dense transit systems, cities kept expanding roads. Soon, America began designing everything around cars: wider streets, giant parking lots, drive-throughs, shopping centers surrounded by highways. In many places, walking became inconvenient, sometimes even dangerous. And over time, owning a car stopped being optional. It became necessary. Today, over 90% of American households own at least one vehicle. For millions of Americans, daily life without a car is almost impossible. While America invested heavily in highways and suburbs, countries like Japan and many European nations invested in dense cities and rail networks. That one difference changed everything. Japan built high-speed rail. European cities expanded metros and public transit. America expanded highways. And once a country is physically built around cars, changing direction becomes incredibly expensive. Because now you're not just building trains, you're trying to redesign entire cities. Even today, most transportation funding in the United States still goes toward roads and highways instead of public transit. And there's another problem. The farther cities spread outward, the harder transit becomes. That's why many American metro systems struggle compared to places like Tokyo, Paris, or Seoul. Those cities were designed around density. America was designed around distance. Car dependency affects more than transportation. It changes almost every part of life. Long commutes increase stress. Massive highways divide neighborhoods. Parking lots consume enormous amounts of urban land. And for many families, owning multiple cars becomes a major financial burden. Ironically, adding more highways often doesn't solve traffic either. Urban planners call this induced demand. More roads usually encourage more driving, which eventually creates more congestion again. That's why some American cities now spend billions expanding highways while traffic still keeps getting worse. So the real reason America depends on cars isn't simply culture, it's infrastructure. For decades, the country invested in highways, suburbs, parking, and low-density development instead of walkable cities and transit. And once an entire nation is built for cars, changing it becomes incredibly difficult. The question now is, can America redesign itself for a future beyond the automobile? If you enjoyed this video, subscribe to Build Break for more videos on infrastructure, transportation, and how countries shape the way people live.